All right, everyone, how are you doing? Welcome to this Sunday evening's Magical Coffee Hour. Hope you got your coffee. I do. Or whatever beverage it is you choose to drink. All right, got a few people waiting in here. Mystic Lavender White Wolf, welcome. Luna, good to see you. Animal Man, good to see you. We're already up to 5 likes with 3 people. That's pretty good. I like those turnout numbers. Oh, people jumping in now. Here we go. Wendy, welcome. Manaz Mohabazanda, welcome. We'll call you Manaz. I can't pronounce that last one. I'm bad with names and pronunciations. We'll just be honest. All right, let's see. Goddess Neath, welcome. As always, if you do have questions, do feel free to put them in here. We do have super chats for anybody who wants to just donate to the cause of running the channel and everything we keep doing and all the information we're putting up, as well as if for some reason we get really busy and your question's not being answered or not being seen, the super chat will flash it up on the screen real big and make sure I see that. So as long as it is a question I can answer on YouTube, we got it. Let's see what we got. And Peachy, welcome. Good to see you. Cloud Gazing, good to see you. Sivanas says, not all dragons are stubborn, right? That depends on what you mean by stubborn. It really does. It really depends on what you mean by stubborn. Dragons, by and large, don't trust humans, and it does take time to build that trust. They do it on an individual level, not on a group level. And they also do it on an individual lifetime level. So just because, let's say you actually got to work with dragons in a past life, that doesn't mean they're going to trust you in this life, because they know the choices of humans differs from life to life. So if you're viewing their stubbornness as their caution and the general hardness of their teachings at times, and how direct they are, and the fact that, well, dragons just don't do excuses at all, then yes, they're all stubborn. But it really would depend on how you're using that word stubborn, because like my co-magician, he's not overly stubborn in most matters. The only time he takes his heels in is when he knows the only route for me to learn something is a very specific one, then there's no negotiating whatsoever there. When it comes to certain areas of dragon magic and how it progresses, they are very stubborn, all of them. I mean, that's just how it is. So it really depends on how you mean the word stubborn there. Yes, Mystic Lavender, that is a new background back there. Thank you for noticing. We actually, thanks to some donations, was able to get some backgrounds to kind of mix it up a bit. And so thanks to you all, we have been able to do this. I've actually enjoyed doing the streamings in the little nook here. We started doing this because in the summer it got too hot to be in the upstairs office, but being down here in this little nook has allowed me to, keep it zoomed in better so we don't have that broad, messy look when I'm in the office. So I'll probably continue to do the live streams down here, and because of that, we wanted to spice it up and switch out the background because the nook's so small I can't really do a lot of decorating down here. So yeah, we're trying out some new backgrounds. Glad y'all like it. Lauren, hey, it's okay. You can always watch the replay, and you're here tonight. You was camping. Totally forgiven there. I wish I was with you out there. I need to get out in the woods myself. Jack Tower Man, long time. Where you been? It's good to see you. Amelia asks, a quick question: how do the Fae interact with ancient gods? Mostly they interact pretty well. Think of the Fae and pretty much any other entity group as different political clans. So the overall view is they get along, but they get along within whatever the agreement and accord and alliance that group has with the Fae. So it does differ from group to group, but overall they do get along. I hope that answers your question, Amelia. Samuel, good evening. Let's see what we got here. Goddess Neith, I called dragons randomly to help heal my husband through past life regression. I felt their power. I started screaming so loud to release the powerful energy that I felt through my body. That's actually not too uncommon. One of the reasons the Magic 101 class slowly ramps up the energy that you're exposed to, and also one of the reasons that even in the channel we tell you Guardian Dragon first, then Co-Magician, and then start working up, is because of that very thing right there. Dragons are extremely primordial beings. I mean, someone once described them as the primordials of the primordials. But yeah, that energy, that very raw, primal, creative energy is massive. And when you start working with it and channeling it, like in the healing you're doing with your husband here in this description, it can be a lot. It can really be taxing on the body. Even if it's a beneficial energy, the body's just not used to those levels. So I can totally understand that. Hopefully both you and your husband are good now. Menez, do you know about fairy dragons? Yeah, one of the reasons it's hard to find anything about them is because they prefer to be called Fae dragons, first off. And secondly, they are dragons that are just allied with the Fae, and they maintain their layers within the Fae realms in order to help out and be on call. But they're not actual Fae. They're actually dragons that work directly with Fae. They're kind of like the dragons that are assigned to the Fae realms, if that makes sense. But due to the fact that they do work with Fae energy current, a dragon does take on colorations and traits of the energy current it works in. So because of this, the Fae dragons usually have these deeper colorings. And it depends on what side of the Fae realm they're working on, the colorings. So if they're working on the side of summer, they're going to have those bright foresty colors that you would expect. And they're working on the side of winter, the unseelie, you're going to see those deeper purples and blues. There's much darker colors, even in blacks and whites included in those. Let's see. And after I work in my clairaudient, some here voice of static sound. If you're working on clairaudience and you're hearing that static sound, you're still picking up on things around you and energies and other levels and planes, which is exactly what your clairaudience is supposed to do. It's supposed to allow you to tap into those. And practice. I know people will ground out and they're like, "Well, I grounded my energy. Why didn't that happen?" And you didn't close off. You didn't close your senses off. And I actually tell my students I don't recommend closing your senses off unless it's a major problem, because the whole idea is to open them and to adjust to having them open. So I, for one, I keep mine open 24/7, and Yeah, but if you're having trouble opening them, I don't recommend closing them down until you get a better handle on them. Unless it's becoming a problem. If it's becoming a nuisance, a problem, paranoia, trouble sleeping, in those cases, then yeah, focus on your third eye and close them down when you're not working on them. Well, good to see you too. I didn't know you was working on a book. I'm actually juggling a couple myself right now. Trying to get the Dragon Magic information into a book format that people's been requesting. Mystic, Lavender, White Wolf. I did a meditation the other night on which goddess I should work with, but I can't figure out if it's Hecate calling or Morgan. Could it possibly be both? It absolutely could. And I'm going to go ahead and state this next statement with this is an unpopular opinion. But gods and goddesses will come to you, but I honestly find it more important to be like, are you called to more? You personally, what's your opinion? Hang their opinion. Forget their opinion. What's your opinion? And in this case, if you're viewing the Morgan and Hecate of the two, which one are you more interested in working with? And approach that one first. That would be my recommendation, Mystic. I do not sit around and wait for entities to call me. I get on, I keep working, I work with the entities I choose. If one wants to work with me, it can call and get in line. But definitely reach out to the one you feel most called. Amelia, I didn't know if working with Azazel. No. The Fae do not scare easy at all. People have this image of the Fae being these little teeter bell fairies that flit around in nature. There are small Fae that are like the majority of Fae do not reside in this realm, nor do they bother with what we view as nature. And when it comes to the lords, ladies, and kings and queens of Fae, Azazel's not going to spook them at all. So yeah, no issues there. And considering the Fae follow those lords, ladies, yeah, the Fae's not going to spook around Azazel at all. Let's see here. Well, I'm glad to hear he's feeling better, guys. Neat. I'm really glad. It's good to hear. Let's see. Manaz asks, could you work with Fae dragons? If so, then how and what are some of the ways they interact and communicate with them? You could work with them because you're dealing with dragons that have the standard rule sets of any dragons. They also have to abide by the Fae laws of the Fae realms in which they work and live in. And because of that, you have to be fully ready to adhere to all Fae law, which I did a video on. Next, you have to be able to gain access to the Fae realms to reach them because their jobs tie directly into the Fae realms, and that's where they spend their time. So you're either going to have to work your way up through the first 4 elemental rulers and cut over to the Fae realms through them, or you're going to have to work your way into the Fae realms and then find the Fae dragons from that direction. You can also access them through the high rulers, but it sounds like you're looking for the quicker of the directions, if that makes sense. And it would also depend on which Fae dragon, because Fae dragons aren't they're the and the Sealy Fae dragons. They work in different areas, and they are very drastically different in how they operate as well. So it's a process getting a hold of them. They're definitely not a starter point, that's for sure. Black Tyler, I'll be sure to let you know when I get the book ready. I'm nowhere near I don't do much talking about it. We're just trying to formulate and get enough together so it even looks like a plan at this point. Mysterious. It's okay. It's weird after doing meditation to see his name like everywhere and haven't even been researching much on her because I mean, I'm not saying I've never had entities reach out to me. I have. Uh, honestly, I'm a dense person, so when they start reaching to me, it takes me a while to notice them, and even when they do, it still takes me a while to get around to working with them. But if your gut's telling you Hecate, you can try it. I mean, both of them is great to work with. I don't see any reason not to reach out to both of them. I'm not one to put limits on my practice, so that's just me personally. Animalman asks, do dragons ever fight with each other and other entities? Well, yeah, they will. Dragons, so you'll see this a lot in the Draconic realms. There's very specific rules to traveling the Draconic realms, and if one dragon trespasses into another's territory, they can duke it out over that. Though beyond that, you tend to see dragons fight over energetic currents and trying to keep those balanced out. And it's a very rare thing this happens because dragons do actually work together to focus on the balance. So it's in the rare occasion where a disagreement occurs, or you have those very, very rare rogue dragons. And the rogue dragons are pretty much listed as search and destroy. So you'll see them fight when that happens. There's an entire clan of dragons that's pretty much set up just to hunt down these rogue dragons. And they're extremely rare. So when you see these magicians talking about they're running into all these rogue dragons, something's not right because those rogue dragons are extremely, extremely rare. And as far as other entities, as long as the entities aren't upsetting the balance, no, the dragons don't care. They'll let them do whatever they do. And most entities in the multiverse are pretty cool and keen on helping that balance along too. So outside those few little areas, the dragons really don't mind. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to confuse you. If it would, I would guess that she's the one that's trying to get your attention the most. So I would attempt to reach out and contact her. If I'm looking at it from my research perspective, and I've got two possibilities, I'm researching one, and the other's name just keeps popping up, even though it wasn't one I was considering. I might bump that one to the top of my contact list just to find out why that is and get a quick yes or no, and either continue researching her or go back to researching the one I was working on before. Does that help a little bit more, Mystic? Let's see. Mysterious. When doing magic for a large goal, how would you compare casting a spell for the end goal and repeating it versus breaking that goal down into small parts and doing single spells for each one? Okay. If I understand this right, what I would do is I would actually focus on the long-term goal. And I would break it down into small goals also. And I would do spells for the large long-term goal. And I would do individual spells for each individual small goal as well. I know some people's like just do the large goal or just do the individuals. I don't. I actually stack them to get the best results. And that also allows me to keep my focus on the long-term large goal and customize the individual goals as needed. If I'm understanding that correct, that's what I would do, Mysterious. Welcome, Malengo. Good to see you. And why was, oh, you're talking about a picture. I was like, why are you painting a fish? You're talking about a picture. I'm with it now. I got you. Need more coffee. Hey, Jake. Welcome. See, anyone, being that a co-magician is a large being, will he stay at your house and stay in his human form, or will he stay somewhere else? Both. They pop in and out on the regular. They don't, and even when they're not there, they have a presence there. So the second you say something, they hear it. They're never gone. It, for example, they always have some portion of their conscious there. But yeah, anytime that they're in your home, they're going to definitely size down for that, of course. But they do also maintain a private layer elsewhere, sometimes more than one. I feel that Luna asks, speaking of Fade Dragon, is it possible one hangs around in your sanctum because wants peace, quiet, and cupcakes? Well, I don't know about peace and quiet, but I'll be honest, Fade Dragons are not really known for peace and quiet. But sugary treats, it's possible. They've been known to swipe a few sugary treats if they can get access to your sanctum. Though, if you're seeing Fey dragons in your sanctum, you might want to be aware there's probably more Fey around. A lot more Fey. So expect some chaos and shenanigans to ensue if you're starting to see Fey dragons. And that's the thing. If you don't like chaos and shenanigans, don't work with Fey dragons at all. Let's see. They can be. The smallest Fey dragon I've encountered was roughly the size of, let's say, a golden retriever. But they get bigger from there. I've seen them up to the size of a cruise ship on average. And then there's one I've encountered where I don't even know what I could compare that thing to. It was just freaking huge. And so they come in all sizes, but the view of the cute little diminutive Fey dragon, that's not the norm. That is not the norm. The average Fey dragon would, I'd say, think the size of an SUV or a semi on average. Somewhere in that category. Let's see. Nana asks, would incorporating a sigil into a piece of art draw power from people who view it? It could if you set it up that way. It really could. Though you want to be careful doing this because if you're having it draw power from people who view it, even if it's prosperity, even if it's healing, that energy is going to fluctuate and attune to their perspective and viewpoint. So you're pulling that viewpoint too, and that can actually end up corrupting the picture, and it could be functioning in a way you don't intend. So you need to be careful with that. But you could set it up that way. Manaz asks, what would you work with Fey Dragons for? If you have any important info on them, that'd be helpful. I'm going to have to pull all my old notes on the Fey Dragons and do a video on them. Largely, I work with them mainly in matters dealing with Fey, either the Seelie or the Unseelie courts. Since I am a dragon magic practitioner, they make great go-betweens between me and the Fae. Get the Fae realm some, and they can help you understand nature in a more primordial fashion. If you go to them expecting to help with standard gardening, they're not going to be much help. In fact, they're going to look at you like you're crazy. They pretty much disagree with 90% of what humans do when it comes to plants and nature. So the biggest thing is magic and how to incorporate it in your everyday life and how to live not only and use it, but to incorporate it in you. Because they are very much, they take on that Fey aspect of they are magic. They don't use magic, they are magic. So many of those aspects would be there. And they would be a great medium between dragons and the Fae if you work with dragons. And they're great teachers to help mediate and understand the difference in the Seelie and the Unseelie courts as well. But those are the main reasons I work with them. Animal Man, how large are the first two dragons? What do you mean by the first two dragons, Animal Man? Are you talking about the first two dragons you encounter in your dragon magic path, or what? Is that name True? TR? Yeah, that looks like True. Okay. How do you see them? I view them with my arcane sight, which I have a video on the arcane senses. So that would be actually how I view them. If I'm understanding the question right. So you actually have to train up your clairvoyance and your arcane sight, which is two words for the same thing, in order to be able to view these entities. Hey, Jacob, glad you made it. Better late than never, man. Any dragon can get large, honestly, because most dragons that you're working with that are able to work with humans, they're going to be older. So unless the job specifically dictates for them to be smaller, which generally is rare for dragons to take a job like that, they're going to be large entities. That's the reason the guardian dragons are some of the smallest ones you'll work with outside just the little ones that tend to hang around randomly. And that's because the guardians are the younger ones you'll be working with. Oh, no problem, Nana. Happy to help. I actually like working with sigils in art magic because of the different things you can utilize it for. Manaz asks, this might not be directly related to dragons, but is the Hawaiian mythology in fact closed practice or open? That is a massively tricky question because that depends on a lot of viewpoints. And here's the kicker. First off, I'm not well versed in the Hawaiian mythology and the practices, okay? Now, I have been blessed to work with a few practitioners thereof from Hawaii. I've even been invited to Hawaii to learn. Though Hawaii is still one of the states I ain't made it to, so we can see how well that's worked so far. That said, there are two very, very heavy cut viewpoints here. One is it is open, one is it is closed. So me personally, this is the view I take on it. I will not learn it, I will not study it, and I will not dive into it, and I will not claim it unless I actually find a practitioner of it who's willing to train me and teach me. Now, that's just my viewpoint on it. Because it is a culture and it is a mythology that, like many others, should be respected. And it is a tradition. So within working directly in that tradition, I'm not going to touch it. I don't touch traditions without getting them being let into them. The entities themselves, however, I would have no problem reaching out to them to meet them and learn from them. But if I'm learning from the entity, that doesn't mean I'm claiming Hawaiian practice. You got to understand that. There's a difference here in working with an entity and learning from it and claiming a tradition or practice that you're not initiated into. That is a massively huge difference. And because of that, yeah, I mean, that would be one of the differences. But as far as learning the actual traditions and the practices, if I didn't have a teacher that was already initiated and was willing to teach me, no, I wouldn't touch it. I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. For two reasons. A, respect. I'm a big believer in respect. And two, you don't know if whoever's teaching you is full of shit. You really don't. I've met a lot of so-called voodoo practitioners that are nothing but Wiccans painting themselves with voodoo colors. And that is beyond disrespectful for the voodoo culture, the voodoo. It really comes down to that respect thing. I hope that answers your question. Oh, no problem, True. Oh, Animal Man. You're talking. Oh, you mean the? Okay, I see what you're taking now, man. Yeah. Well, that's what the dragons call them, and that's often what they refer to themselves as. Um, let's put it this way: they are so large that they can't be contained within the multiverse and reality as we know it. And I've been actually trying to find a way to explain their immensity, but I cannot. And I'm still even just learning to work with these entities. And it's taken me a while because being near their energy in the slightest it's like being beat with a hammer. It really is. These are massively hard entities to work with. And even the ritual to approach them is just friggin' insane. But that is going to be the basis of the Dragon Magic 104 classes, those two entities and approaching them. But yeah, currently the best description I have is they individually they cannot be contained within reality as we know it. And there's two of them. So let your brain cross that as it may, because I'm still trying to process it and find a great way to communicate it myself. So you're actually asking a question here where it's like, I don't really know how to articulate that one, my man. Let's see, Peachy. So, in your opinion, having dragon magic as one's main practice is a good thing? Now, Peachy, that's just a mean question. Because when I answer this, I'm going to sound biased. Because my answer is yes. I really do think dragon magic as a main practice is a very good thing. Now, to avoid my bias, let me say why. I'm a big believer in versatility. And dragon magic, where dragons focus on the balance, all these years I've never found an entity or grouping of entities dragons will not work with. They make a great bridge for drifting over and working in other areas and making those contacts and learning more and allowing you to reach out to whatever practice or pathway you're wanting to work. So you have a core foundation that really lets you go anywhere you want and learn as much as you're wanting to learn as far as you're wanting to push yourself. That is why I believe it makes a great core foundation main practice. There are people who do not follow that philosophy there. But from that philosophy, I think it's absolutely a great main practice. Manaz, Japanese is an interesting one because the Japanese culture loves sharing its culture. In this day and age we're in, you got so many people who aren't a member of the culture screaming cultural appropriation. on just about everything, including like the Japanese culture. I got a lot of friends in Japan, grew up in Japan, live in Japan, and their spiritual practice is over there. And they actually find it quite offensive when people not of Japan tell Japan they should be offended. But it's not closed in the fashion we think. But you do have to approach it correctly and respectfully, and you do have to get the teachings correct. And the information can be hard to get a hold of. But Japanese entities, I know there's at least one person in here, I won't call them out, but they've started working with those entities and they've been getting a lot of progress, even more than most. They take respect to levels I don't. But it is a beautiful culture. So when you do approach them, make sure you're respecting the culture and you're getting to know the deities. But it is possible, very possible. Let's see. Jack, glad to have you. Welcome. The content have taught me a lot, but just wondering, can dragons or dragon magic help in the curses? Easily, yeah. Dragon's ritual could completely knock them out because that ritual, when it says empower and protect, that cleansing will actually break most curses. That's one beautiful thing about the way dragons work. They can deconstruct things very quickly, very easily. And then for the other percentage of curses that are much higher level or whatnots, again, there's plenty of dragons out there that can help you with that. It's a great system for that. Mystic Level asks, can your dragon guardian be a fey dragon? No. No, it cannot be a fey dragon. Because guardians are so young, they've never worked with any specific element or energy current. You got to remember, once they get to a certain age, and well, that age is past guardian, that's when they take their first assignment within the elements and focusing on an energy current. Fey dragons, that's their assignment. They're actually working with the Fey current very directly. So a guardian, as young as it is, has never been assigned a specific current. That's why they don't have elements either. And because of this, the guardian will not be a Fey dragon. It might be interested in the Fey. It might be considering that particular energy current when it gets older. But for now, the answer would be a technical no. Smoke, I'm sorry about the live feed lagging, man. I really am. I have got everything adjusted to do the best I can here. And Smoke, you're right. Respect is paramount. That's one of the things people probably get tired of hearing me say the word respect. But Aretha had it right. Respect, baby. Oh, no problem, Delangela. Thank you for joining us and thank you for the question. Yes, Manaz, that would be a great way to view it. Yes. You need to approach it correctly, very respectfully, and take your time, really get to know the details. But yes, that is what I've been told by all the Japanese and mystics that I know personally and I've gotten to meet, which I've actually been blessed in that matter myself. And I got an open invitation to learn from one. It's just, I got to get the time. I really do. As many of you know, we travel a lot. Part of me hopes we get stuck in Japan. I would love to do a 4-year time in Japan. It'd be freaking awesome. Fingers crossed for Japan. I don't really see that happening for reasons, but hey, it could happen. Let's see here. Rust asked me, "Hey man, are you doing anything for Mabon?" I don't really do the holidays. I don't. I don't know. Since I don't really do the religion side and everything, I don't do the holidays either. So I probably won't unless I have any spell work or something to do that particular night that I could use the energy current on. Outside that, the most we ever do for any of the harvest is actually we'll cook dinner. We'll have a special dinner where we'll cook a little something. Me and my wife will have some food. We'll make sure to offer a little something of what we cook to the entities we work with. That's kind of the downside of me doing less and less on the spiritual and religious side, and more on the sciences. I just keep forgetting they're coming around. Any of y'all on the Discord's probably noticed y'all be like, "Hey, such and such." It's like, "Oh crap, I forgot." Truth be told, I tend to forget every year. The only ones I tend to remember are Samhain and Yule. Beltane, occasionally Midsummer. And Samhain and Yule, let's be honest, we all remember those. We know why I remember those. Beltane, my original magic teacher was born on May 1st, so that's her birthday, so that sticks in my head very clearly. So, yeah, I currently do not have any plans, but now that you've reminded me of it, I might look into it and see about doing something. I might. Because we're getting some gorgeous fall weather finally moving in here. I think that heat might be gone, people. The feed lag is on my part. No need to apologize. Oh, okay. Yeah, I understand that. Uh, when I travel, I get some bad internet. In fact, I've been at hotels. I swear to God, they got a hamster rubbing potatoes together to generate the internet. I really do. Luckily, right now, my internet seems to be behaving for me. So, yay! All right, let's see here. Animal Man asks, "Do you prefer to make your own spells?" Yeah, yeah, I actually do. I do not enjoy actually using other spells. I do prefer to make my own. That way I can customize them. I know exactly how they function. I know why everything's in there. I'm not a big believer in going to buy spell books and that like the best thing in my mind that a spell book or a spell off the internet, which I'm really not a big fan of those, is inspiration to create your own. That would be the big one for me, is to use such spells as inspiration to create your own. Otherwise, the best spell for you is going to be one you craft yourself, because then you have an intimate knowledge of it. You know why it's working, and you're going to yield far better results. And that's one reason I do research my spell work so much, and I test my spells so much, because I want to make sure I fine tune them to get the results I want. I told y'all before, if any spell or ritual can't give me 85% or better manifestation results every time I do it, I don't count it as functional. And it's rare I find a published spell that can do that. So I do. I enjoy and prefer making my own for that reason. Hey, Young Lion, glad you made it, man. Luna, I am not sure what you might be insinuating by that comment, but I already said it's due to my dear friend's birthday. Anything else is just strictly in your head. Mysterious type. Have you ever had one of your spells be or become self-aware? In the past, I've tried to break a curse and the cast, and something showed up and started arguing that its purpose was to attack my target. Um, this sounds like a servitor. So no, I've never had a spell become self-aware. I really haven't. Um, but then again, I don't know how this was set up. I've heard of this happening with servitors, and I've heard this happening with spells or the person. It wasn't a servitor, but they set the spell up to think and make decisions. Um, if I'm going to cast a spell, then I need to have the conviction of the actual result I want. So the spell shouldn't need to think. I should be able to fire the spell off, and it goes to do what I wanted it to do. And because of that, no, I've never had one actually do that to me. And the same thing with servitors. I've never had a servitor actually become self-aware either, though I do always build in a kill command for my servitors just in case, because servitors becoming self-aware is like you always hear about it. But me and my students, using the method I use, we've never had it happen. So we've never lost control of them per se. I mean, obviously, a servitor has some self-awareness, but we've never lost control of them in any way. So I've never had to use the kill command, but that's what I've never had happen on me. In the case of that happening, though, you can actually deconstruct the spell, still ground it out, and basically kill it. Basically, kill the spell. If you're having trouble with that, Terrafana is a great example of who to do this. You can actually set her out on it, or any dragon, because dragons eat energy. So a self-aware spell is still energy. They can just consume it, but it will completely undo your spell. Also, be aware of that. Let's see. Malango asks, "How you?" I'm guessing you're asking how I personally intertwine magic into art. I I do it in two ways. First off, if I'm doing like painting, energy paintings, because I can't draw stick figures, so energy paintings, which are more abstract, really suit me better. Um, I actually do a bit of. I actually connect with the energy I'm working with, and sort of do kind of a almost channeling of the energy where I'm actually letting it kind of control the brush and do its thing. Um, this is one reason I don't do this too often because many of you know I insert and fluff. People don't actually understand the repercussions of channeling. But with general energy currents, as long as it's an energy current that I'm meeting in my life or whatnot, which is one reason I'd be doing the painting. So I would let that energy flow through me in that manner and utilize it as I paint it. And or an entity I know extremely well, I would also work with them to do that. The other way I do it is I actually channel energy through me and push the energy in the same way I would charge a candle or something while I'm working on something. So I have carved tobacco pipes in the past that I've done this with. Walking sticks, uh, cups. I've actually had to carve a cup and whatnot before that I've used that for. So yeah, it's the whole time I'm working on it, I'm pushing energy and moving energy into it the whole time. So the whole time of its creation, it's constantly being charged with that energy. At no point during the creation of whatever I'm working on is there not energy being put into it with direct intent, shaping it for the very magical purpose on creating it. Does that make sense, Malango? I was not prepared to answer art questions. Smoke, I'll be honest with you, I currently cannot recall any of the names off the top of my head. It has been years since I've worked with any of the Japanese deities. And I'm a little ashamed to say that because it has been so long. And I work with so many entities, I can barely keep real people in my wife's names straight. But when it comes with, I work with so many entities, I cannot keep them straight. Yeah, most of what I do work with is the Western and Eastern, Middle East stuff. But yeah, the Japanese deities, the ones I've worked with, when I've worked with them, it was very short lived and for very specific purposes, including, well, funerals. The funeral for my adopted father figure that you've all heard me talk about. I was asked to take part in that and work with a few of the deities for that particular service. Um, Otherwise, when helping other individuals from Japan who they wanted specific work done and they wanted me to utilize the deities that they're familiar with in the workings. So they're just not names I've memorized, man. And I feel bad even saying that, really. See, Menos asked what happens if a deity from a closed practice contacts you and you're not part of that practice? Just a question. Again, that goes back to entities and practices are separate. I know we want to group them all together and lock them in a box, but they are separate. Um, so those entities can reach out and contact whoever the frick they want. But that still does not make you part of the practice. Um, so you could learn from them and whatnot, but it still wouldn't make you part of the practice. The big kicker is some of these entities are very tricky to work with. So proceed with caution and make sure you know what you're getting into if that's the case. A good example of this is voodoo. The Loa and the Orishas do not work like your traditional gods and goddesses and other entities that people are used to working with. And to approach them and treat them as such will get you in trouble real quick. So you need to make sure you know what you're doing and how you're approaching them, even if they come to you. Because if it backfires on you and you're like, well, you came to me, they don't care. They do not care. It was your decision. So you need to make sure you understand the entity and the ideals that this entity has before you do so. But the entities and the practice are separate. This is something people tend to have a problem with. They want to try and take these entities that have nothing to do with Earth or humans because they really don't. They're out there in the multiverse. They can work with whoever they want. And they want to, in humanity's hubris, wants to shove them down in this one little box. So it is possible for an entity to reach out to you. Just make sure you understand it before you jump into the pool, as it were, because you can get in trouble. Not with people, but with the entity if you handle it wrong. Adelman asked, could the Dragon's Flame ritual help with astral projection? Yeah, actually it could. It will cleanse and clear the room, power energy that you would be utilizing during your meditation and astral projection exercises. And it would actually help protect the area for those who are worried about something going wrong while they're gone. So yeah, it would definitely help. So please forgive me if I'm wrong, but I just normally tie in string and Abrahamic with Western. You're not wrong per se. There is a divider there, but so many people do like lock it together that yeah, a lot of people do that. Or a lot do. Me personally, I think my Middle Eastern knowledge is lacking. But yeah, a lot of people do tie it together smoke. I totally understand that. Oh, there are too many. These people who can rattle off like 500 deities' names from memory, I don't know how they do it. I do not. For all the entities I know, my mind is usually like a steel trap and it's rusted shut. And I usually need an intellectual crowbar to jostle that thing open to even remind me of it. So, yeah. Which is one reason I was terrified about doing these live streams originally. It's like, it doesn't matter how much I know if I can't recall it. What am I going to do? Luckily, I haven't made too much of an ass of myself on here yet. Although with the 5K challenge, I might yet do that because we crossed 3,100 last night, which means you guys are less than 2K to hitting that 5K by Halloween. And it looks like the subs every day are slightly getting more and more. So you guys have a good shot at hitting that 5K for the 5K challenge. You got me worried. I think I am going to be wearing some goofy outfit on here in November because it does look like you guys might do that. Currently, the percentages are in my favor, but it's close. It's close. I'm actually getting worried here. But do remember the 5K challenge. If you hit 5K by the end of October or the morning of November 1st, not only do I have to do a live stream in a costume, my wife picks out. I don't know why I agreed to that. But we'll also be giving away 4 of the Dragon Magic 1 courses. So be sure to share the channel, let your friends know, get some people to subscribe. All right. Let's see. Right now, I'm drawing blank on Persian deities. I know I've encountered them, and I know it. I am drawing a full blank. I apologize. It's a snowball from here, Drake. Prepare some Halloween dance moves. Luna, you're right. This thing is growing quicker and quicker. There is definitely a snowball effect happening. And first off, you know what? To all my viewers, I love you. I really do. Your support of the channel, your comments, y'all's great. You really are. So if we hit the 5K, I'm a man of my word, and I will be embarrassed. I'll be beat red, I'm sure. But I'll proudly make a fool of myself for y'all because a deal's a deal. And you all have been great. Let's see, Smoke. You mentioned in a video about leaving a drink for Odin and pouring it down the drain or whatever, and you said you could pour it if you drank it. Would it show more respect? That's actually a really good question. And it depends on how the ritual's set up. Entirely. Depends on how it's entirely set up there. Because if you've set it out as an offering strictly for him, he's going to take all the energy and everything like that from it. And therefore, there's nothing there because you gave it all to him. Now, if you've set it out in a way that it's to be shared or blessed by him, that would be a different circumstances. Because if you set it out to be shared, not only is he going to take his portion, but he's also going to replace that portion with a bit of a blessing, if you will, so you can drink that half if the ritual's set up that way. And then there's the rituals where you literally set a offering for him and one for you, fully charge and imbue so that you're taking and imbibing in that energy directly, kind of almost as a kind of a light level invocation, if you will. Luna, thank you very much for the £5 donation. £5. Is that a pound? I don't know if that's a pound. Thank you for the donation, Luna. And I do. Is that a pear dance? I don't know what that is. YouTube needs to give us some better stickers and dancing things. Euro. Okay, it's a euro. Okay. Groovy. Thank you for the donation, Luna. You're a sweetie. We appreciate it. Mugs up to you. Yes, Smoke, I do. Actually, I did a video series here on the channel. I think a 3-part video series where I show how to homebrew a basic mead. And I've gotten a few requests because I mentioned like a garage mead is what my buddy calls it. It's like a single container, about as basic, simple, beginner as you can get. And there's a few people that's actually wanting me to share that recipe on here. So I'm actually considering doing that video, I won't lie. But there is a basic mead series on the channel already. I'm actually getting ready to attempt to upgrade my home brewing. I usually use Camden tablets to make sure they're stabilized and the fermentation is stopped. And it's quicker. But with me trying to lose weight, get back in shape, I'm drinking a bit less, which means my fermenters can stay full longer. So I'm actually wanting to go all natural, full ferment aged meads and see what I can do with those. Hey, Anubis! Why the burr? Are you cold? If you're cold, send some of that cold down here, man. It's still warmer than I like. Send some of it down here. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, Smoke. I do. I mean, honestly, I didn't know if I could even do this because I don't know how to do a channel. Who wants to hear me? So all I knew to do was turn on a camera, first off, swallow the fear, get past the fact I'm terrified of the camera, and just talk honestly. That's all I knew to do. And apparently it's worked. Let's see here. Mysterious that I had a good experience consuming offerings with Hathor, so I tried it without asking with Marduk. Yeah, make sure they know what you're doing. You don't want to do it without asking. To give something and take it back without permission is bad juju. And that's the big reason I said it depends on how the ritual's set up. Because if you give it as a full offering and then you drink it, they're going to view that as, hey, look, I gave this to you, but I'm going to drink it anyway. So you're taking it back. So yeah, that's why you want to make sure you know how the ritual's set up before you do that. Let's see. Animal Man asks, how are dragons created? If you're asking about their creation origin, I'm still not entirely sure. All the draconic lore, even in the draconic realms, goes back as far as the dragon and the dragoness and talks about them. That don't really tell us much about where dragons ultimately came from. As far as dragons themselves, they're hatched. So, basic biology concept here. 2 dragons get together, they lay an egg, kind of concept. The hatching grounds are uber protective. Next to no one gets access to it. And no one is allowed to, even if you do by chance somehow rarely get access to it, you will never be left alone, and you will be constantly guarded like you're a death row inmate the whole time you're there. They take their hatchlings protection that seriously. And if you ever harm a hatchling, forget it. You're an enemy for life to all dragons. That's it. Anubis, it is a possibility. It's been interesting because where I've worked with angels, demons, and many different deities, this is kind of one of those things that it's been fun to sit down and ponder and discuss because all of them so old, they've been around for so long that none of them can really remember who was there and who wasn't. And the dragons seem to always have been there in most of these other, well, in all of them have always, it's like they've always known the dragons. They can't remember a time without them. But it's really, it's one of those things where it's so far back, even their memory's fuzzy. So it's a possibility. Is it a guarantee? Oh, some prickly pear mead. That is good stuff. That is good. You'll like that. You will. Let's see here. We're 8 minutes over coffee hour. So, and I believe we are still working on the Dragon Magic 102 course, though we are possibly looking for a 2001 release now. But that's okay. It will be out, trust me. We are also working on a Rune Magic class and course, but we're actually going to be releasing this one video by video into a playlist on YouTube. So the Rune Magic course will be free here on YouTube. You can go in and watch it anytime. I probably will release that video by video as opposed to release the whole playlist at once. That way it's just easier as I get it edited and done. You guys can start getting access to it right away. Any of you who's interested in working with the runes and Rune Magic. Hopefully we'll see the first one of those. I want to see that the first video or two in the Rune course up by September, early October. That's my goal. So with that, let's take a look at these final questions here. Let's see if it's a question. I don't actually know yet. You do say there's an order to everything, so possibly they were the first beings to adopt the duty of keeping that order, or just they evolved and actually want to do it. But I'm just only theorizing. No, Anubis, I mean, that's a perfectly great theory, and you're right. In all my soul travels across the multiverse, even when it comes to chaos, there seems to be a weird kind of order. Even if chaos itself is almost the anti-order, it does seem to follow that order because in order to not follow it, you have to follow it kind of concept, which is a fascinating view. And I would agree with you, but y'all know me. I'm not one that's going to say this is how it is if I ain't got something to back it up. But I do, I would say my current thought process and theories very much follow yours there, Anubis. And there is a big portion of me right now that is drastically wondering if the dragons came first. It really is. So I hope that makes some sense. Smoke. No, when I say angels remembering, I mean, I'm talking about angels remembering what was far enough back that there's areas in their memory that's fuzzy as to what was there when they came into being that far back. It had nothing to do with humanity itself. Anyways, with that, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap here and try and get some work done tonight. I got a bit of work to do. It has been a crazy, crazy weekend. Crazy. You all have a wonderful evening. And tomorrow's Monday, so tomorrow is your Monday. Try and have a good Monday. Hopefully none of us have a case of the Mondays. Those all suck. Drastically suck. But I will see you all next Friday for the Research and Rambling stream. I'll be live there. Of course, you know, I'm always in the, well, I'm in the Discord channel a lot. We have a wonderful community over there. If you're interested in joining it, there's a link below to the Discord community. Pop over there, say hello. My admin are very, very active. They're in there a lot. And you can always tag me. And if you tag me, I do my best to respond quickly. I do check it daily. I don't always have time to drop into the voice chat and hang out for hours on end, but I do check it daily. So I'm always keeping an eye on you. Remember that. Especially you admin. I see you. I know what you're doing. Oh yeah, I got you. Also, if you are interested in any of the courses that we already do have, go to workingdragonmystic.com. The meditation course, the Dragon Magic 101 course, they're both there. And the free Arcane Sight class, it's there as well. And we do have a merch shop. So there's a link at workingdragonmystic.com for merch. So if you wanted to get your own Dragon's Eye seal, coffee mug, or even coffee mugs of the rulers, we got the artwork of the rulers. Go ahead and grab that. It's a great way to support the channel. And until next week, everyone, keep it magical and keep on drinking some coffee or beverage you prefer. Take it easy, everyone. Good night.